Hello, thank you for joining us, and we're going to resume now with some special guests that we have here. We've got David and Colin Murchison.
That's right.
Murchison? Okay, great. That's not always my forte. And they are owners of what we in the industry call six-bed houses. They're really homes, and in fact, they call their company a place called home. So, welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this and what inspired you to start home care?
Yeah, I started as a registered nurse. I worked for several of the hospitals here in town, in the ICU, in the emergency department. Then I got into hospice nursing, and as a hospice nurse, I had the opportunity to go to a lot of these types of homes, and some were better than others, and I felt like I could do a better job, and that's what got us into it. We opened our first home in June of 2012, and we had such an overwhelmingly positive response with what we had done. Now we have 4. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And how about you, Colin? Did he just drag you along here? Or?
Yeah. No, so my background's been in business. I've worked in corporate retail for the last 10 years, and so David with his medical background and mine with my business, we've both kind of done things that sought to help people. My time with retail, I worked with talent training and development, and so it's nice to be doing something where you get to help people out and help them enjoy life a little better.
Yeah. You know, when I toured your homes, the thing that was very remarkable to me was I've seen through the life care work that we do, we refer people out to facilities or homes or get help for them in the home, in their own home. And I have to say I have not been a big fan of six-bed homes because the ones that I've seen have been dark and dingy, and people are sort of parked in front of a TV, and there's no sense of community. And when I walked into your homes, there was a completely different feeling there. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you create the environment? Well, for one thing, I will say that the homes that I saw were fairly new homes and had a lot of light just structurally built into the house. So.
Well, as we kind of went about trying to figure out what we wanted to create, we really felt the best thing to do was to make something that we would like to live in. So we put brand new furniture in, the furniture that we would have chosen for our own houses, and we put big TVs in the rooms. Some of the elderly people that we work with have difficulty seeing, and so we didn't want to have a tiny TV, and we lowered the showers so that there was no lip, and we could put a wheelchair into them, and we didn't use the cheaper option that's kind of a big plastic thing that you sit in there, but we tiled everything so it would look nice like we would do for our own home. And one of the problems that we noticed in the market is a lot of the caregivers aren't taken care of very well, and so it was really important to us that we did things better.
Yeah. Well, our family has had people that were very close to us that have enjoyed your expertise, and I have to say I don't think I have seen caregivers that are any happier than your caregivers, that's for sure, and it makes a difference in the atmosphere.
I think it's important that, I mean, the way the law looks at six-bed facilities is they allow you to be in these residential neighborhoods because they expect you to treat it like a home and for these people to really genuinely be your family. And so when we bring people into a home, we try to set up the house not just to fill it with people, but to have like-minded people in the home so that they can relate to each other. So if you're going to live in a home with 5 other people, they should be people that you're going to be comfortable with and
Right.
that you can engage in conversation with and that are similar in their point in life that you're in.
So they have meals together. All of these people eat together also, and How do you figure that out? Yeah, you know, how do you figure out if these people are going to get along with each other?
We like to meet everyone before they come in. We go see them wherever they're currently staying. Get to know a little bit about them, and we spend so much time with the residents that live in the homes already that we get a good sense for when a person, you know what, we know that you're going to be best friends with this person. You're just going to love it there. You two are going to click. And we're able to set that up beforehand.
Yeah.
The whole process is meant to, we don't want to incorporate someone into a new way of life as much as we want them to take what they loved about the way they've been living and bring it into this as just a new home. Just like when I moved here from across the country, I didn't leave everything behind that I had before, and it shouldn't be that way when you move into this part in your life where you need to be in assisted living. You should be able to have a meal that you love. Well, why don't we learn how to cook that meal for you, and you can have that meal every so often. If you had books and things that you love to read or activities that you enjoyed, having a small home allows us to bring those activities into the home rather than bring our activities to you.
Right, right. And I know, David, you worked with hospice, you mentioned, and so I understand that some of your houses have hospice people that are on hospice also?
All of them do. All of them.
Okay, so you're licensed for hospice?
The state allows us to apply for a waiver to take care of hospice residents, and each of our homes has at least 2. One of them has 3. So.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I will say that in my own family many years ago, I had the privilege of having assistance from a hospice organization. It wasn't in Fresno. It was out of the area, but that is such a blessing. I mean, it really is a lifesaver. I shouldn't say lifesaver because the person is in the process of passing away, but it is a quality of lifesaver for not just the person that is in that transitional stage, but also the family members that are having to process where they really are at and where their loved ones are at. So that certainly seems like quite a gift. So what happens in your homes when people are in hospice? How does that look?
Well, I guess each one looks a little bit different, but we typically will contact one of the agencies in town, and sometimes the family has already chosen one, and we'll have them come out. They'll have a nurse, they'll have a home health aide, they'll have a chaplain and a social worker all come out and work with the family, and we kind of facilitate that. These residential care homes that we run are not required to have any medical personnel on staff, so me being a nurse is really kind of a bonus, right? And I can work with the agencies and kind of advocate for what I think is important.
So sometimes you'll have your residents will have home health people come into the.
Right.
So just for the audience that might not understand the distinction between all these different terms, home health will be like a physical therapist or a nurse or occupational therapist, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then they come in and help the resident in their room, or maybe sometimes in the living room. How does that work?
Wherever it's more convenient.
I
mean, I have one gentleman who likes to go out in the back patio area, and they set up a massage table in the back, and
where do I sign up?
and they do different exercises with him. So.
And we also like to include the caregivers in that as well, because a physical therapist is only able to come out so often, but the caregivers are there every day. And if the physical therapist can show them these are some things that I want him doing repeatedly, then the caregivers will help with that throughout the week.
Right. I know that when we are talking with people in different living situations, whether it's at home or in an assisted living, skilled nursing, or in your 6-bed sort of facility, it doesn't seem right to call it a facility because it's a home. It really is a home. Facility makes it sound very clinical, but in a 6-bed home, and the reason it's called 6-bed is because that's how many people you're licensed to have, correct?
Right.
I note that usually we consider the Achilles heels of any place whoever their most current caregiver is.
Sure.
And I know that I've seen very little turnover in caregivers with you folks. and your caregivers are genuinely some of the happiest people. I know I'm not that happy giving care. So, and boy, they make some pretty good food too. Just for our audience's knowledge, I showed up at Halloween time one year, and one of your caregivers had created a whole
Coffin.
Yeah,
Coffin
it was a
yeah.
coffin. I was thinking, is this going to be depressing? And the residents were all getting into it. They all got dressed up. They were giving the kids candy at the door, and it was really, heck, it was more fun than my house. So that's, I think that's really a great service.
You can't, there are a lot of people who have a lot of experience giving care. But one thing that David and I have learned as we're hiring people is that there's a certain love for the elderly that we both have, and that we really look for as we are hiring individuals. And so we'll look for experience, but we put our caregivers through a lot of training before they start working with us. Mm-hmm. And you can't train that just genuine love for the elderly. And that's what you see with Iggy and Ivan, as we were talking about there.
Right.
And they do just love what they do, and we try to make them feel like they're part of our family, just like the residents.
Yeah, I think that's pretty evident. So I know you have 4 different homes, and there's some distinction between the different homes. Can you tell the audience a little bit about kind of the flavor of each of those homes?
Sure. 2 of the homes that we have, the residents are very high functioning mentally. They can interact and communicate and engage in similar activities. And then we have 1 home where the residents are very low functioning, advanced dementia, and 1 home where they're kind of in between.
Right. Well, I just saw we ran out of time. We got so caught up I wasn't paying attention. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope this was informative for people watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.